I did a podcast recently with my friend and fellow YouTuber, F.I.R.E, and you guys should check his channel out. He does a lot of podcast interviews on local CT entrepreneurs. And he asked me a question. And the question was, what do I do with my money and where do I put my money to save it? So my answer was, I don't save money. Saving money is for losers. And I'll explain what I mean by that shortly. However, I did tell him that instead of saving money, what I do is I invest money into 4 categories. So the 4 things I invest in is to buy back my time. I invest in my skill set and my health. I invest in experiences like traveling, and I also invest in relationships, because relationships have a high return on investment overall in terms of connections and people who will be willing to pay you money for your services. So those are the 4 things that I told him that I invest in. And in today's video, I'm going to go over how you can buy your time back and invest money into that, because it is a very confusing topic if you really think about it. So I want to break it down so you guys can get a better understanding of what I mean by buying your time back with your money. So let's hop into the first topic I want to talk about, and that is why savers are losers. So if you put your money in a bank, a savings account in a bank, you are consistently losing purchasing power due to inflation. So if the bank pays you, let's say for an example, 1% interest on your money in the bank, but inflation is going up at 3%, you are losing 2% every single year. You cannot outcompete it. And then as the price of everything goes up, you can see that over time, you're just losing purchasing power. So for me, putting money into a bank is playing not to lose instead of playing to win. When we play to win, we invest money to 10x our return. We need to compete inflation. We can't just do less than 3%. If inflation is 2 to 3% a year, we need to be able to invest that money into getting a return that's at least matching that or higher. If there's a savings account that gives us 5% a year, great. You can put your money there. I have no problems with that. But it's very rare that you're going to find something that's 5%. And plus, why would you want 5% when you can invest that money to get you an even better return than 5%, right? Investing in yourself and increasing your income, it's one of the easiest ways to get a huge return on your investment. That's why I don't save money. Also, in addition to that, banks are making money with your money, and they're making more than you are, which is crazy to even think about. It's wild, because banks have the ability to take the money that you put in your savings account, lend it out to people at ridiculous interest rates, right? 24% on credit cards in some cases. And then they'll give you 1% of that, and they'll keep the 23% for themselves. And they're leveraging money that they didn't earn. You just simply put it in there, and they are making money. So instead, we need to become the banks. We need to use our money the same way the banks use their money. We need to get 23% return on our investment. So that's the way I look at it, and why savers are losers. And also, one more point I want to make, and this is just sort of a macro view on everything, is that the banks can print money. So why would you save money when banks can literally print money with the press of a button? So just because of that, you're just losing at the end of the day. And it's just numbers on a screen, right? So that's why I believe savers are losers. So let's talk about how you can buy your time back, because you can always make more money, but you cannot create more time. That's why it's one of the most valuable resources on the planet. And what I mean by buying our time back is we need to buy our time to be able to invest in things that can 10x our return. When you have more time to invest in money-making activities, then you'll make more money. It's that simple. So the first thing that we need to do to buy our time back is we need location independence. We need to be the ability to work whenever we want to, not just work when we're told to with a 40-hour a work week job. We need the ability to work wherever we want, whenever we want, and there are certain skill sets that dictate themselves to this. So one of the skill sets that I'm learning is online high ticket sales, where we sell products for other people or yourself. If you're starting a business, if you have a media agency service that you want to sell, you can sell that for high dollars, and you're able to make a huge amount of money with this fairly quickly if you're good. If you're not good, then you might struggle. But if you're good, you can make a lot of money with this, and you buy back your time because you're not set in one location. You can work from anywhere you want to in the world, and you can structure your days however you want to. Right. Another thing you can look at is content creation. If you're a video creator or a photographer, you can literally work from anywhere in the world and be able to do that full time. Right. And that's what we're looking to. So then once you have these things in place, what you want to do is you want to begin to outsource tasks that you don't want to do. You can hire a virtual assistant. You can hire people to work on the back end. Let's say that you're very good at delivering content. You're very engaging and enthusiastic, and you have a compelling message. Why would you want to spend time working on the back end? You're doing the editing, doing all that stuff when you can outsource it. And then you can then use that time to leverage and get more done in terms of creating higher ticket offers and offering more value to the marketplace. So that's what you want to do. You want to outsource the back end material, or if you prefer doing the back end, you can outsource the front end. Right. And this is where we get really creative, and you can buy back your time. Instead of learning to do all the things yourself, you can learn one specific task that you enjoy doing and then outsource the rest. So that's a great way to buy back your time. Another thing that this is something that I found recently, and that is to stop cooking. And this is a very minor thing that I've started to do, but it saves me so much time. And obviously I cook when I want to, but I've been ordering out a lot recently, and I found that by spending a couple extra dollars just ordering food, whether it's like Chipotle or something like that that's already made, it saves you so much time, especially if you're an entrepreneur. You don't have to meal prep, you don't have to cook, you don't have to save your food, you don't have to buy variety, and it saves you in the long run if you really think about it. And when you compound that with intermittent fasting, where you're only eating 2 times a day, it saves you so much time. You're buying your time back just by doing that. And now with all this time back, we are able to increase our income. What do we want to do with that? We need to shove our active income into recurring revenue vehicles. So one of the more popular ones, obviously real estate. If you're educated in that, great. The recurring income vehicle that I'm using is dividend growth income stocks. So I want to get paid by investing in these stock companies. And I'll have a video on just an update of my portfolio that I've been building this year. And I want to show you guys that that is one of the easiest ways. You literally just have to do a couple hours of research, and then you're able to live off of the dividend income once you build it up to a certain level. So once you make the number that you want, your FU number, then all you're doing is just investing in stocks until you hit that number. And then another way to buy back your time is to learn systems and protocols for everything. So once you have systems and protocols, you can lean on that instead of trying to figure out things on the fly, because once you're overthinking and you're thinking about how to do things throughout the day, it can eat up time. If you really need to consider that, because when we're thinking about what we're doing, it takes us 10 to 15 minutes to think about what we're doing, and then we actually do the task. But if you have systems and protocols in place and you know exactly what you need to be doing, then throughout the day you can just act. You really don't have to think about it. You're just doing, and it saves you so much time. So that's how you buy back your time strategically. Now I want to talk about how velocity banking can accelerate this process, because that's what I preach on my channel. Velocity banking, acquiring debt to leverage it to speed up our financial goals. So our financial goal is freedom here. That's what we're looking to accomplish. And the easiest way to do that is to use or leverage velocity banking, where we're leveraging other people's money. This is what I talked about on how you can become the bank. You do the same thing that the bank does, right? You leverage other people's money in order to 10x your income. So this is just, we're doing what the bank's doing instead of giving our money to the banks and letting them do whatever they want to with it. So how do we build this lifestyle of freedom now, immediately, right? Because a lot of us want to think that it takes a long time to build freedom, 5 to 10 years in order to build up freedom. But if you really plan and you get really strategic about this, you can live the life of freedom you want almost instantaneously. So the way that I look at this is that you want location freedom. So even if you're not the best salesperson, if you get a remote job where you're able to work from home, this is location independence. Even if you're not making high amounts of money, you still have that location independence, which can allow you to live exactly where you want to live. Then we acquire a line of credit. This is the velocity banking principles here. So we acquire at least 10K in a line of credit. It would be awesome if it was a personal line of credit. That way we can withdraw the money. But if you have to get a credit card at a 0% interest rate for a year or so, that would be also a good alternative. So we acquire a line of credit, right? Then we're going to research digital nomad lifestyle. So this is where we look at locations where you can live for cheap, where the cost of living is under 2K per month. That's what we're looking for, because if we are going to do a remote job, if we're going to get into sales, if we're going to become an entrepreneur, we need to realize that we're not going to have a lot of money coming in initially. So we need to account for that by paying less in our cost of living. So in America, cost of living is ridiculous. So I would recommend looking at nomaddeals.info on his Instagram, where he literally maps out all of the places around the world where cost of living is extremely cheap. And you can do your own research on where you want to live, but realize that if you have a goal in your mind, where you live shouldn't be based on ideal preferences. It should just be based on reaching your goal as quickly as possible. So if the cost of living is extremely cheap in, let's say, Budapest, Hungary, and you want to get a remote sales job, and then it makes sense for you to do that, but you've never been there before, I mean, you have to take a chance and literally, if that's what you want to do, plan your transition. So that's what I would do if I was trying to build this lifestyle of freedom almost instantaneously. Then on top of that, you need to build your brand and your presence. You need to start building that up. So what you can do is you can start documenting your journey on YouTube or even on Instagram. And by doing that, you'll help people along who want to go in the same journey, in the same path as you. And you'll also have the opportunity to make more income along the way if your channel blows up and you're able to get residual income from there. So everything stacks together. That's the way you have to look at it. So this is how you build your freedom now, by leveraging velocity banking in order to free up your time. This is the key here. This is what you want. This is what's going to get you the change that you want instantaneous. It's going to get you that change instantaneously once you start to think a little bit different than what the status quo is, especially if you're living a more alternative lifestyle, if you never went to college, or you're in a position where you really don't know what you want to do. Then I would consider going on this path, because it's going to save you a lot of money. You're going to learn a lot of skills, and it's going to be a more interesting lifestyle where you can invest a lot of your money instead of saving it. And then once you make that decision, once you decide to do this, just go for it. You only live once. I know it's a very cliche line, but it is the truth at the end of the day. So you only live once. Go for it. See what happens. If you fail, still, there's nothing wrong with that. The only person that can judge you is you. And you shouldn't live your life in fear of what other people think. So go for it. Take a chance. If you want to live a life of freedom, do it. Go for it. This is the basic framework. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making this one. And I want you guys to all have an amazing and blessed day. That's all I got for you. Peace.